Welcome, I'm Stavros Mastrogiannis, the How to Lose Weight for Life coach and the creator of the Live Your Way Thin system. In this video, I want to talk about why, although the human body is designed by nature to be lean and healthy, most people are not. Here's a fact that everyone should know. No one is meant to be overweight and unhealthy by nature. The human body is an incredible machine that can self-heal, it can adapt to many extreme environments, and it can withstand unbelievable amounts of abuse. The body's immune system can build antibodies to fight viruses and bacteria. It can grow more muscle if it needs to get stronger. It can increase the lung capacity if it needs to be able to run longer or stay underwater longer. Let me give you just one example of how well the body can adapt to extreme conditions. An average person can hold their breath between 45 seconds to a minute. In Japan, before the invention of scuba diving, there were pearl divers called ama who could hold their breath between 4 to 6 minutes. Now, keep in mind, they were actively working underwater and harvesting pearl oysters, making it even harder to hold their breath for that long. The body can adapt to a cold environment and it can adjust to a hot environment. It can also adapt to high altitudes where there isn't as much oxygen. Wim Hof has demonstrated the ability of the body to adjust to many extreme environments, given, of course, the proper training. Wim Hof was able to stay submerged in ice from the neck down for 1 hour and 53 minutes without his core temperature changing. An average person would be dead in minutes. He climbed Mount Everest in his shorts without getting altitude sickness. He completed a marathon in the desert without drinking any water. Wim Hof has demonstrated how incredible the human body is. So the question is, if our body is such a great machine and can adapt to almost anything, how come most people are overweight and we are such a sick and over-medicated society? That is the question I will be answering next. Currently, around 75% of Americans are overweight and about 36% are obese. According to a Mayo Clinic study, close to 70% of Americans are on at least one prescription drug or more. Something's not working the way it's supposed to. There are a few reasons why our body is no longer lean and healthy like it's supposed to be. But one of the main reasons is too much comfort. Let me tell you a story that I think will help you better understand what is happening to our bodies. As you might know, the deeper you go in the ocean, the higher the pressure. At 10,000 feet, the pressure is around 300 times the pressure on the surface. And yet, there are fish that live that deep and thrive. They can do that because their body has adapted to those kinds of pressures. Now, if you take those fish and bring them closer to the surface, where you don't have as much pressure, they might be able to survive for a little while, but sooner or later, they end up dying. Why? Isn't it more comfortable not having all that constant pressure exerted on your body? The reason they die is that their body has adapted to a very high pressure environment. And when the pressure is no longer there, they cannot survive. The human species has been around on Earth for around 6 million years. All those years, the body has adapted to a much harsher environment than the human body has to deal with today. If you think about it, it's only the past 100 years or so that humans living a more comfortable life than the body is used to over the past thousands of years. Think about it. Most people living in the Western world do not experience being hot or being cold for prolonged periods. For example, the only time most people feel cold is when they walk from their heated house to their heated cars. Did you know that experiencing cold and letting your body try to warm up, or the reverse, feeling hot and allowing your body to cool itself down, it's great for your health? For example, regular exposure to cold aids burning fat, strengthens the nervous system, regulates blood sugar levels, combats oxidative stress, strengthens the immune system. Wim Hof has proven the positive effects of regular exposure to cold has on the immune system. Wim Hof has not gotten sick for over 20 years. Did you know that exposure to heat also has benefits to your brain and helps the body detoxify, which is excellent for overall health? In the past, people would get all these benefits naturally by simply getting exposed to the environment. Most people in the modern world never let their bodies get exposed to extreme cold or heat for prolonged periods, and their health is suffering for it. Now, keep in mind that too much cold or too much heat is also not good for you either. Other things that we don't let our bodies experience regularly is letting our bodies go hungry. Today, most people never let their bodies go hungry, and I'm talking about true hunger. In the past, people did not eat as often as we did today. Only in the past 50 years or so, we have such an abundance of food, at least in the Western world, that people eat all the time. In the past, people felt true hunger on a regular basis. Frequently, they would go for days without eating anything. If you look at ancient texts, people used to eat on average once per day. When I lived in Greece in the 70s and 80s, adults only ate once or twice per day. Usually it was lunch and then a small snack for dinner. It was drilled into our heads as children to make sure we were hungry before a meal. In Greece, we did not have a lunch break in school. There was only a small store that sold snacks and small sandwiches. Usually my mother would give us some money in case we wanted to buy a snack. But if I haven't had my snack by 12 noon, I would never purchase a snack even if I was hungry, because I knew that if I ate something around 12 o'clock or later, I would not be hungry by the time I got home for lunch, which was around 2 o'clock. So I stayed hungry. As it turns out, letting your body go hungry has tremendous benefits to our health and weight. The point I want to make here is that in modern society, very few people let their body experience true hunger, and our health is paying the price. Many fitness professionals will tell you that letting your body go hungry is a very bad thing. They're dead wrong. Unfortunately, people have been taught to avoid being hungry in the modern society, and that has started from a very young age. I see that with my own children. When they have an event in school or at church, and the event is longer than 3 or 4 hours, people automatically bring snacks. So what if they get hungry? Nothing bad happens to them if they get hungry and they don't eat right away. It's actually one of the best things that you can do for your health and weight. Other things that our bodies no longer get as much exposure to is viruses and bacteria. Well, isn't that a good thing? Actually, it's a terrible thing for our immune system. You see, our immune system needs exposure to viruses and bacteria to stay strong. The moment it does not get constant exposure, it starts to get weaker. By regularly sanitizing all the surfaces we touch, we are doing more harm than good. Letting our kids play with dirt and putting their hands in their mouth can actually be good for them. When I was a child, my mother used to let us play in dirt, put our hands in our mouth, and did many other things that most parents today would never let their kids do. On the other hand, one of my cousins, whose mother was obsessed with cleaning and sanitizing everything, she was sick all the time, whereas my siblings and I hardly ever got sick. I know that many people who have similar stories. We do need to expose our bodies to the environment where viruses and bacteria exist. Remember, viruses and bacteria need a weakened immune system to get us sick. If you take care of your immune system, you will not have to worry as much about viruses and bacteria. Of course, you do have the opposite also of too much exposure to viruses and bacteria, which is also not good. The problem is that many of our daily habitual behaviors, which many consider healthy, actually weaken our immune system, like not getting regular exposure to cold, eating too often, overeating, antibacterial soaps, over sanitizing surfaces, and living in an overly sterile environment. All those things weaken our immune system. Another reason our bodies are falling apart is that we no longer walk nearly as much as we used to. In the past 6 million years, people walked everywhere, so for the most part. Over all these years, the body has adapted to walking, and all of a sudden, it no longer walks as much as we used to. Walking is not just about burning calories or keeping your heart and lungs strong. Walking is essential. It's an essential activity for the maintenance of healthy joints. Did you know that walking is vital for the lubrication of your knees? For example, your knees don't have a blood supply. Did you know that your knees get the nutrients that they need to stay healthy through a movement like walking? As you walk, you swing your leg forward, creating a vacuum in the knee, which pulls in liquid that helps lubricate the joint and also provides the nourishment the cartilage needs of your knee. One reason people have so many joint problems is that we no longer walk nearly as much as we need to. The point is that our body has adapted to a much harsher environment than we live in today, and the mind has adapted to a much calmer environment that we live in currently. We did not realize that the harsh environment was critical for the maintenance of a lean and healthy body. Like the fish who have adapted to very well to the tremendous pressures at the bottom of the ocean, that their body now needs the pressure in order to stay alive, the human body has adapted very well to a harsher environment that it needs in order to stay lean and healthy and fully functional. However, rest is also critically important, not just for the body, but also for the mind. Too much comfort or too much stimulus is equally bad for the mind and for the body. Other things that have changed between how people used to live and how people live today is stress. In the past, people did not worry as much about the future and did not hold on to the past as many people in the modern societies do. People were more accepting of what is. Let me explain what I mean. Did you know that not accepting what is one of the biggest causes of stress? Some things happen to us that we can change, and some things happen to us that we cannot change. Many people in the modern world focus too much on the things that they cannot change. That causes a lot of stress, which is completely unnecessary. I'm not saying to never feel bad. What I am saying is feel bad, but if you cannot change it, accept it and find a way to move on. People in the past had much better coping mechanisms. For example, if you look at healthy cultures worldwide, they have traditions and rituals on how to cope with the death of a loved one. According to a research article published in the Journal of Experimental Psychology, it explains how these traditions and rituals can help people cope with events like the loss of a loved one. I know in Greece, when someone died, we had certain traditions that we followed on how to mourn. In modern societies, most people have lost those traditions and rituals on how to deal with death, which I believe has a substantial negative impact on people's ability to deal with losing someone. Not being able to cope is a massive source of chronic stress. The reason I bring this up is that chronic stress is one of the biggest causes of disease. Today, most people are under constant pressure and are always worrying about something. And unfortunately, many things that they worry about are outside their control. Basically, most people live under constant chronic stress. Do you know what stress does to your telomeres? And by the way, telomeres, without getting too deep into biology, are caps at the end of each strand of DNA and protects the chromosome. Every time a cell divides, a telomere gets a little shorter. Once the telomere gets too short to divide, the cell stops dividing and eventually it dies. As the cells lose their ability to divide, that is when you begin to age and also when disease starts to show up. Chronic stress, according to Elizabeth Blackburn, PhD, and Elisa Apple, PhD, shortens telomeres at a much faster rate than normal, which translates to aging at a much faster rate than normal and also increases your chance of developing all sorts of diseases. If you want to learn more about telomeres, I recommend reading their book, The Telomere Effect. It was one of my favorite books to read. It's a real eye-opener on how your thoughts can affect your health. Another thing prior generations did more than people living in modern societies is rest their minds. Their minds were not turned on 24/7 like people today. How many times have you sat and just looked at the sky, not watching TV, iPads, iPhones, or reading anything, just staring at the sky or the ocean or something nice made by nature? Did you know that looking at something made by nature like a forest, the ocean, has a more relaxing effect than looking at a building? Also, spending time outdoors and in nature has profound benefits to our mental health and vision. To me, it looks like we're designed to spend more time outdoors. Today, people spend more time indoors staring at screens. As a kid in Greece, I remember spending most of my free time outdoors, and the same thing was true with most adults. Here in the US, it was it was not much different. 30 and 40 years ago, people spent more time outdoors than indoors like we do today. Resting the mind is as important as resting the body. When I lived in Greece, we only had two channels, and those two channels were only on after 5 p.m. during the week and 12 p.m. on the weekends. Today, people go from watching TV to their iPads to their smartphones. They hardly ever give their mind a break. In Greece, it was not uncommon to just stare at the night sky or the ocean. Have you ever done that? It's a very relaxing thing to do for the brain. If you look at Asian and Middle Eastern cultures, meditation and prayer is part of their everyday life. Meditation and prayer, by the way, both are very good for your mind. According to Blackburn and Apple, regular meditation helps elongate telomeres, which has a tremendous benefits to our overall health. The obvious thing that most people are aware of that has changed, especially in the past 40 to 50 years, is what we eat. We eat a lot more refined sugars. Actually, our consumption of refined sugars has gone up more than 30% in the past 30 years. We eat a lot more overly processed foods, and because we no longer pay attention to our hunger, we eat a lot more food than we used to 30 years ago. It has been estimated that we eat between 300 to 500 calories more per day than we used to, and we're a lot less active on top of it. Do you know what else has changed in the past 40 to 50 years other than what we eat and how active we are? How often we eat and how fast we eat. 40 to 50 years ago, people did not eat as often as we eat today. If you look at healthy societies today, you will notice that on average, they eat 2 times per day. Today, people in modern societies, they eat between 4 to 5 times per day. That has a massive impact on people's weight and health. Did you know that the same food and amount of food can affect your health and weight completely differently depending on if you ate it in one big meal or in 5 small meals? I know mainstream nutritionists would tell you that eating small but many meals throughout the day is better, but the truth is the exact opposite. Do you know why people today eat more food than in the past? One of the main reasons is the fact that we eat on the run. We no longer take our time to sit down and enjoy our meal as we used to in the past. Did you know that the slower you eat, the less you will end up eating without even trying? The faster you eat, the more you will end up eating without even knowing it. Here's the bottom line. Just like the fish that live in the very deep and don't fare well if you bring them close to the surface because they have adapted to the high pressures of the deep, the human body over the past 6 million years has adapted to a very different environment that we live in today. The current environment no longer provides the stimulus necessary to maintain its integrity and health. The good news is that with a little work, and I really mean a little work, we can easily recreate the environment the body needs to thrive without having to live in the wild. That is why I created the Live Your Way Thin system, to help people develop the habits that will provide the stimulus the body needs in order to return to its natural state, which is lean and healthy. If you would like to learn more about my Live Your Way Thin system and how it works, you can go to www.liveyourwaythin.com. I have also included a link in the description of this video. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked this video, hit the like button to let me know that you enjoyed it. Comment below if you want me to cover something specific, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel by clicking the subscribe button below so you never miss a video. Also, I would greatly appreciate it if you share this video with your family and friends to help me spread the truth on how sustainable weight loss and good health can be achieved. Thank you for watching.